Hey, so this morning and yesterday morning, actually, a part of my reading for my devotions was in 2 Corinthians 12, which we know 2 Corinthians 13 is the love chapter, right? Love is patient, love is kind, blah, 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 blah. 2 Corinthians 12 is similar, and specifically in verse 15, there's this part that kind of sticks out where Paul says, I will very gladly spend and be spent for your souls, though the more abundantly I love, the less I am loved. Sad. There's another portion of Paul's letters where he conveys the idea basically that he would be willing or would prefer that he be accursed to Christ for the sake of his brethren. So he would rather not be saved and other people be saved. And I heard a message on that last week sometime. It was talking about Moses, and that instance of Paul saying that was brought up because Moses had said a similar thing at one point. God was gonna take out his wrath on the Israelites, and Moses basically said, take it out on me instead. Which that's what not being saved is. You incur God's justice, God's wrath, which is what Jesus, God took it out on Jesus so that we didn't have to. And so if we put on the righteousness, all that stuff that we talked about recently, then the penalty is paid. And we think I would do that, you know. We could think of people that we would die for, or, you know, I would pay a $1,000 fine for somebody if they really needed it, you know. But this is much different than that. Would I really be willing to give up my salvation for the sake of someone else? Would I exchange my soul for theirs, basically? And of course, it's entirely hypothetical, because if you have, by grace, you have been saved through faith. If you have been saved, if you've confessed Jesus as Lord, all that stuff, then you're saved. So you can't exchange your faith for someone else's faith, because you already have the faith. So, but the idea, like, would I really be okay with that? Does my love really go that far that I would basically do what Jesus did? My God, why have you forsaken me? For the first time in eternity that Jesus was ever separated from the Father, and he took on the weight and the wrath of the sins of everyone. And recently I've been singing Remember You a lot. I don't know if you remember. It's somewhere back sometime, but the song is based in 2 Corinthians 13. Love is patient, love is kind, blah, blah, blah. And that's the prayer of the song, to do as Jesus did. Basically, I want to love like you loved. And so, you know, I'm singing it over and over. I've been trying to record it. Singing it over and over is just really, you know, it gets the gears turning and makes you wonder what exactly you're singing, you know, when you say it all the time. But more than normal. It's not like I haven't thought about this before, but anyway. what would Jesus do? There's a broad spectrum of things that fall into what Jesus would do because of what Jesus did. You know, he died for us. All these very gracious and loving and gentle. I am gentle and meek and lowly. But he also flipped tables and whipped hypocritical religious leaders. So there's a fine line between, and like we've talked about before, you know, the wrath of God and the wrath of man. The wrath of man does not produce the righteousness of God. Emotions and truth and all this stuff. But it's just been on my mind lately, you know. And with the song from last week, The Lion and the Lamb, there's this sort of dichotomy of who Jesus is. He's the king and he's the servant, you know. The least will be the greatest, and he's the lion, he's the ruler, and he's the lamb. He died for us. He very countercultural, that outdid society in every possible way, and yet he's like, you could never be both as a human. I mean, obviously, because he's God and he was man. Fully God, fully man. We're not God at all. But again, just the idea. It really puts into perspective what that means when it, greater love has no man than this, than a man lay down his life for his friends. And God demonstrated his love for us, that while we were yet still sinners, Christ died for us. He didn't have to do that. Unworthy to be killed for. To sacrifice for me. But he did it. He had the heart that, or Moses and Paul had the heart of Jesus. And because this life is so short, so temporary, in exchange for eternity, what would I be willing to sacrifice here? For that, for the sake of other people, to see other people come to the saving knowledge of and the love of Jesus. And, you know, it's just been on my mind lately because of the devotions and the songs and that sermon I heard last week and stuff. But anyway, this is gonna be a kind of quick one. It's kind of late in the week and I gotta get some stuff done, but yeah, that's about it. Jesus loves you. See you guys next time.